Crystal, how are you?
I am good. Good to see you. Did you have a good King birthday? You went
I
hiking or
always have
something?
a great king birthday. Yeah, I was supposed to go hiking. I
Oh,
just sort of
okay.
took the day and rested. So I'm hoping Dr. King is okay with that.
I
That's
think
what
he
we do.
is. I think
Yeah,
he's
I think
he's
he might
okay with
be.
that. I spent the day in the garden all day, some
Oh,
early
good for you.
morning. So it was great. We got a lot of work done
Yeah.
because it's been pretty tough. I'm in the middle of year end,
Oh,
so with my uh clients and getting their 1099s and all those lovely things. So I have one
yep.
more week before we have to get that stuff in.
Oh,
So I've
okay.
been working like a crazy person.
Not bad. Not bad. Man, that's got to be exhausting. But you got
Yeah.
one more week and then you're
One
done.
more week of that part, and then I got to work on getting their tax stuff together.
Oh yeah.
Um,
So are you filing extensions? Well, you have a while. I mean, you have till the
we got a
15th.
while.
So
We got a
you're
while.
not
Just got to get all
it's
this
not
stuff
horrible
together.
just yet.
Mm-mm.
But then all
So
those
this is
last minute people like me, yeah,
Yeah.
that
Well,
last
for
minute thing.
for me, I only do I'm working with the preparation part. So then what
Mhm.
happens is if I stop doing preparation as of March 31st. After that, they're
Uh-huh.
on their own. They got to get their paperwork in however they can get their paperwork in, but it ain't by me.
Hello. This sounds like a woman who's been there, done that, got that T-shirt.
Got that T-shirt. So, but that, and then my client that's going public. So that's really the big part is getting that. I finished him on Saturday, and so now I can breathe a little bit. Um,
That is so exciting, man.
that was
What a
intense.
great opportunity.
Yeah, that was intense. And when things go into the SEC, you got to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed,
Oh,
and
yeah.
no, don't want no comebacks.
Yes. Yes.
so, so that's what
Yes.
I was
Very much so.
doing is
Yeah.
making sure that I got all that done. So I got him done, and it was what I was doing was the final step. So
Oh,
I'm good. So
okay.
now I can just go on. But things of course have been stacking up. It's like, oh my God, okay, let me get through this first quarter.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah, yeah. So Monday was a good rest day. I could just rest
Yeah.
in the
I
garden, rest
that
in the garden.
yeah, that short week was good.
Yeah, I know, huh?
I was thinking about that, and I've got the whole 4 days ahead of me now thinking, "Oh, man, it doesn't feel like I got a whole lot done today." Oh,
I'm
well.
sorry.
No, 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 that's cool, either you have too many or not enough, and sometimes
It's
they're the same
true.
thing.
It's true. It's true. And life has
So
speeded itself up. It is on hydraulic speed mode right
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of stuff
now.
going on. A lot of stuff, a
Hmm
lot of stuff. So let's
Yeah, so
talk
excited. Ready
today.
for the show?
Yes, I am. Are you ready?
Okay. I am. I
All right.
am. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It should be a good one. I'm a little bit older than you, so I remember 2001 and 2002, and I remember 2008 and 2009, and I remember being at different times in my life in those situations and handling them dramatically differently. And now I see, we've had some ups and downs in the market here as of late, and we had some great years under Mr. Trump there. And it is a good time for us to talk about, especially here in the beginning of the year, about what to do and how to think about this. So I'm really glad we're going to tackle this issue.
And
So
and yeah, the stock market seems to be doing some interesting stuff. little
Oh, yeah.
ups and downs. I think I opened up my my portfolio the other day and went, "Whoa, let's just shut that down." I never seen so much. It was bleeding. Too many red numbers. There was no green numbers at all. I was like, we're just gonna shut that down. We're not even gonna look at that today. We gonna hope. We gonna hope when I open that back up tomorrow, it's gonna be looking a little bit different.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, we are living in some interesting, like turbulent kind of times, I guess.
Yeah, did you remember that Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times.
May you live in interesting times. Yes.
That's what we got
You.
now.
It's like everything you have. You have the supply chain. You go into a supermarket, all the shelves are empty, like especially after Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Your prices, everything is going up. Great resignation. Don't know what that's going to do to anything. The everybody's walking off work. I guess maybe they. You think they won the lottery? Because I don't know if I could just walk off of work.
You know what I think it is? I
What?
think that a lot of people are taking the opportunity to look at their job situation and they're thinking to themselves, if we make some adjustments, I don't have to do this. You know, if you're a teacher, for example, and you're afraid of the virus and you come home to your spouse and you say, I don't have to put our family at risk if we cut down on some of our expenses, maybe get rid of a car or something like that. Maybe
Mhm.
I can do my side hustle and turn that into my full-time gig. It might take a little bit,
Mhm.
but it'll pay off. You know, I think a lot of
Mhm.
folks are thinking that. I think a lot
Mhm.
of folks is remember wages just started to come up a little bit ago.
Mhm.
They weren't rolling up, right? So
Mhm.
I think a lot of folks are saying, you know, for the amount that I'm working, why should I put myself and my family in this stressful situation? So I think a lot of people are saying, I'm just not going to do it. And I think a lot of people have taken the opportunity to go back to school.
Mhm.
And like you and I know, there's a lot of folks saying, you know what? It's time to retire. It's time to get that side hustle and turn it into a real thing. Or I've always wanted to do XYZ. So let me open up chapter two of my life, or in sometimes some cases, chapter three, maybe. I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of that going on, you know, because we're living longer and we're living better in a lot of ways than we used to. So folks are thinking, hey, why does my retirement have to look like X? Why can't it look like something I want it to look like? And
Mhm.
that's a great impetus for a new career or a new way of looking at your career. Not to mention all the consultants. People are like, you know, why do I have to work for this one person when I can have the freedom to do something else? So I think, you know, in a dynamic economy, you have a lot of things. Whoa, I lost you there.
Oh,
There
am
you
I
go.
not here? Am
Yep,
I
you're
here?
there.
Okay.
You're here. I got you. Um, I think in a dynamic economy, there's a lot of things happening that cause people to act the way that they do, and we just have to, you know, remember that. And then on the other hand, I have some folks that are just taking the money and hanging out at home. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
do not any good, but
Yeah, I'm not
they're
quite sure how
hanging out
that's
at
gonna
home.
help. But I
Yeah,
do
that
remember in 2002 when we had, and I was working in the financial planning field at the time, doing not the retirement part, but I was doing some annuities and things like that. And that we had that crash in 2002, right? So
yeah.
then
Mhm.
I and my commissions dropped drastically. But what I
Mm.
did was I did add some skill. I didn't leave the job though. I added some skills. I went back to school. I actually even asked the job because I'd been there. My employer had been there for a number of years. Like, I think I need to. I'm gonna go back to school. Y'all gonna pay for that? And they're like, sure. And so,
Yeah,
I made sure it was like in the accounting field, so it really they
yeah,
benefited as well. And I added on some more skill sets because that is the important key. Just can't walk off your job without new skill sets. And it's a little bit more than just going to school, because the
Yes.
academics is not a skill. That's knowledge,
Right.
but it's not a
Yes.
skill.
Very true. Very
And
true.
you,
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of
right?
sense.
And so you
Yeah.
need a skill that is futuristic. That is what
Yes.
the way the workforce or the working opportunities are going to present themselves. You need those skills to take you in to the future. So if you don't have computer skills, if you don't know how to operate online, if you don't know how to do any of that, then you're still behind the times, and you really can't afford. I mean, you're not going to make any more money. You got to find a skill that has a huge jump in wages, in hourly rating. You're right. Right.
I think you're right. You have to find that way to constantly reinvent yourself. The idea that you are X and this is how and this is what you do, which is Y.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer necessarily appropriate. And we have like I said before, we have a dynamic economy. It is changing all the time. So we have
Mm-hmm.
to constantly reinvent ourselves. We have to constantly go back to school, update those skills, always have to do that. It's kind of like being in shape. You don't just get there. It's a constant thing, which is one of the reasons why I weigh, you know, 200 some odd pounds.
Well, I don't know if that fits, but
you know, I, I know about that staying in shape thing. I don't do
yeah,
it,
you
but
got
I
to stay
know
in
about it.
yeah, got to stay in check. I met a young lady this weekend. She we had a youth program for our tennis kids, and young lady just got out of college in the middle of
Uh-huh.
the COVID, right in the middle of 2020, and couldn't find work, and she had a couple job offers rescinded. So her mother is in executive staffing. So she's asking her mom, "Hey, mom, what do you do?" And so mom told her. And so this young lady was in tech. She went to school, futuristic. The internet is not going anywhere. So she was in tech. So she got her degree in that and business entrepreneurship. And so when she couldn't get a job, she's like, well, maybe I need to start my own business. And this is a 24-year-old young lady, got her BA and her master's. And so she started a tech staffing company. So she asked her mom, "So how does that work?" Her mom says, "Well, you get 20% of any placement salary, any person you place, whatever 20% of the salary." So she goes, "Well, in the tech field, you're starting at a minimum of 150. That's minimum." And so that's what she went at, and now she has done extremely well. She's placed about 6 or 7 people. Minimum wage 150,000. and
That'll work.
and that's what she's doing. So sometimes we have to be more creative, and if we're going to start businesses, they do need to be on a grander scale, because when these young people get to the place that in the conversations that we're having on the patio about retirement, you want to make sure you do have adequate money in your retirement that you've worked so hard for. And it sure helps if you're making a job that's got some 5 to 6 figures, more or less six
It sure
figures.
helps. It sure helps, it really does. And I think that um bully for her. Not everybody's that fortunate, to make 5 or 6 figures. And
Hmm.
the thing is, they can still retire quite well. Out here in LA, SoCal, 5, 6 figures. Oh yeah, up in New York. But out in Nebraska or Des Moines,
Yeah.
that may not be necessary. But what is
Hmm.
necessary is that you plan and that you understand what you need and from the retirement perspective, but
Hmm.
also the lessons still apply. You still have to keep reinventing yourself. You still have to think outside the box. There's buggy whip manufacturers in Iowa that don't, or people used buggy whips at least in Iowa for a while, and they
Hmm.
don't now. So the folks that sold those, well, they had to find something else to do.
Hmm.
And our economy is full of people that their jobs left. They need to do something different now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an issue, but I think that's what's happened to a lot of folks. As you were suggesting, they're deciding, hey, we're going to do that side hustle, or hey, I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to use that as some seed money, or I'm going to do something different with my life. And I think there's a lot of us that are coming from the point of view of, well, they just don't want to work. Well, I don't think that's appropriate. I think folks are saying, you know what? Why I gotta work for this somebody like that? How come I can't work for myself? Or how come I
Mm-hmm.
can't do a little something over here to make things work? And how come I can't use this as a stepping stone to pay off some credit cards and get some insurances and do some of the things that I want to do? So it's a definitely a dynamic economy with a lot of inputs and outputs.
I
But
quite agree.
I definitely want to talk about our topics today. We've got two of them, and
Okay.
I was excited to talk with you about them because you have a bit of the background, and so it was going to be interesting to see what you thought. Um, the first one being, what if the market crashes, and the second
Mm,
one being, of course, the market crash. What do I do now? So,
mm-hmm.
what kind of thoughts do you have about that?
Um, well, I think it all comes down to your favorite line: plan, 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 right? It comes because if you plan for the worst, you'll be prepared for the worst,
There you go. There you
right?
go. Yeah.
But I being being more proactive, being reading, not just assuming that you got your head down in the sand that it's going to all fix its little self, because sometimes you can see it happening. And right now, if you're listening to any of the experts out there, they're giving you valuable information. Then you have to turn around and see how that applies to you personally. But we can't be like in 2007 where the market came crashing down and it kind of caught some most people unaware. The ones that I know that did very survive, they didn't, they're not quite like the pandemic where some people just a 300, 500-degree turn around and increase of revenues. 2007 was a different ball game, but I do know the ones that actually survived it were they had a plan, and they had a plan in their business plan that said, what if everything started crumbling down around you? What did
Yeah.
I need to do leading up to that? So they had a plan.
Yeah. I was trying to think of an analogy to talk about with regard to these topics, and I just really couldn't come up with one. There's like nine analogies that fit this, sort of. But I love the term you use is with regard to proaction. You have to be proactive. And then, the question is, well, how much do I need to know? I mean, if I take my car to a mechanic, um, do I have to how do I not get taken advantage of? How much do I need to know? How do I trust someone to take care of me? How do I trust someone so that I can have a conversation with them? How do I just throw my hands up and say, well, you got it? Or can I do that and expect for them to work it out so that it's going to be okay? Um, and we all do that to a certain extent. And I'm going to say, as a retirement plan advisor, it's horribly inappropriate. You have to take some responsibility. And you can't just put your head in the sand as you just suggested. You have to do something. Then the question is, well, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know what to do about it. I need someone to help me figure this out. That's the best thing you can do is admit you need someone to help you figure it out. Because if you don't, then then all you can do is complain. You can't
Mm-hmm.
fix the ship, right? I
Mm-hmm.
haven't met anybody that hasn't been able to take a hold of this in some way and improve upon what their situation is. And it just takes a little bit of different understanding as to what's going. I want to say, first of all, before my broker dealer goes crazy about this subject, I want to say,
You know, throw that little disclaimer out there.
that's right, man. The market will crash. I think the question was, what if the market crashes? And I want to say it will.
It
It's gonna
will.
happen. It will.
Right,
And it's probably gonna
exactly.
happen a couple of times in your lifetime. So we do need to get ready for that. And I'm just gonna say it right there. It will happen. And I do remember 2009 when people said, okay, Javon, you came into our office and you said, buy your product, buy your product, buy your product. Now that the market's crashed and people have lost 30, 40, sometimes 50% of their savings, what should I tell them? And it was at that time where if you were answering the phone, if you were talking to people, then you had to get philosophical. That's
Hmm.
the only thing that you can do, right? Because that is the way that you determine how you're going to be affected by the ups and downs in the market. And I like the way that I said that. That is the way you determine how you're going to be affected by ups and downs in the market. And that is to say, your particular philosophy. Right?
Hmm.
So there are a few of them out there, and some of them work better than others. I happen to be what they call a contrarian, which would suggest that when everybody's running away, you run too, right?
Okay.
So you have to get ready for things to happen. I remember being on the phone a while ago when I was working with one of these folks, and a lady called me up and she said, "This market is crazy." She says, "I'm pulling all of my stuff out. It can't keep going like this." That was in 2001, I believe.
Okay.
She probably called me
Before
in
the
2000. Yeah, before the
Okay,
dot-com
before because
bubble.
it was coming up, it was leading up to that 2000, but we were
Yes,
really caught off guard. I mean, we didn't have
we
we
were.
were just at the
Right.
beginning of well, the dot com because that's some of the
Yeah,
issue.
but,
The dot
people
com,
those folks were printing money, right? I
yeah,
mean, it just seemed like money was flowing, and we all had super cheap credit cards, and we were buying TVs and houses and cars, and, I mean, it was just amazing, and this woman
right,
she was beside herself. She was thinking, "There's just no way this can keep going.
yeah,
I've got to get out now, right? I got to leave now while everybody else is here sucking all of this up." And I have to admit, that's not a bad way to go, right? When you see that everybody is going one particular way, you got to turn around and look at what's over there. Where are they
mhm,
running from? What's actually going up? That's the way that I look at the market, and that's the way I tell people to look at the market. As you know, I always say, buy low and sell high, right?
right,
So when when in 2008, 2009 rather, when people weren't answering their phones, and that's when I became philosophical. It's the same philosophy I've told people forever. It's just now it hurts, but you know, that was just it hurt. So
right,
what do you do when what am I going to what if the market crashes? Well, the market's going to crash, so what are you going to do now? Well,
yeah. What's the plan? What's the plan, right?
what's the plan? Yeah,
I
it's tough.
know my
It's not gonna be
brother.
pretty. What's the plan?
No, it's not going to be pretty. I know my brother-in-law. You know, he happened to be more proactive in his retirement plan, and so he was watching it and looking at it, and so something just I don't even think there was no analytics going in here. There was no sit down and spreadsheets or any of that. He just got an innate feeling was pull back and become very conservative right now, and that's what he did. I think he left things in the bonds and stuff, but he told whoever was managing his 401k, pull everything back into the cash account, and just let me just sit for right now. And he did it at the right time. His gut feeling told him to pull it. He just left it. I think he left a few things like in bonds and things that's really long term, but he didn't lose anything. But
No, as much as I think your brother's spot on there, but I can't rest my laurels on good feelings. But I think your
no, no,
brother
no,
is
of course not. I don't say there was no analytics. He's not in the profession that
yeah,
you're in. But he did
yeah.
talk to his retirement plan advisor. And he just something just told him you were just looking crazy. And so other people in the company that he worked in lost quite a bit of their pension plan. But again,
And I
my
think
brother in law, That's key,
Yeah, I think
right?
that's the rub, right? That's the
Yeah.
rub. When do you stop that? Well, I've had folks say to me, once it starts heading in a particular direction, then I'll pull out. Well, we know, and it was like a couple of days that thing just dropped, boom, and it was over,
Mhm.
right? It was over. It was already
Yeah.
done. And
Yeah.
you're, oh my. So, you can't just read the trends and be comfortable with that.
Mhm.
So again, I say, what do we do if the market crashes? And the answer to that is, I always say you have to understand what your risk tolerance is. And I do remember talking with a few of my advisors back in the day before that crash in 2008, and I do remember saying, we know what risk is now. We didn't really have a good idea as to what risk was back
Mhm.
in early 2000, but now we know. Now we know risk means you can lose all your money. So when you're looking at investing and you're asking yourself that question, how much can you lose? That's when you have to look at what your risk tolerance is. That is exactly what your risk tolerance is. So
Mm.
going back to your note about being proactive, yes, make sure that your risk tolerance calculates that. Unfortunately, there are so many of us that have started so late and have so little to put in that we have to take the risk. If you're in that
Mm.
situation where you've got to take the risk in order for you to meet some of your goals, then you have to understand risk means you can lose it. You,
Right.
you can't lose it. And for many of my friends who were so caught aware, I thought, really? Are you sure you were caught aware? Really? I was
Mm.
living downtown in a major city. Condos were going for $1 million that were studio apartments. Really? You know that. Don't you think something is up? People are getting double digit returns on their 401k. Really?
Mhm.
Something is up. Can you handle the role that you're taking? Right? Can
Yeah.
you say, okay, I'm just going to roll the dice because things are good? Why do we need to believe the naysayers? Things are good now. Things are good now. Isn't that a good time to pull one of your brother's moves? Hey, what if I go to cash now?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen? What if I say I'm gonna hang on to what I have, and if I don't participate in the market when it's going up like that, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Because you realize that on the flip side, when you do get back in, things are things are dramatically more reasonable. Now here's the problem. When do you get back in? Because
Yeah.
markets don't always go up, come down, and go back up. They don't always do that. And they don't always do that when you want them to do that. So you really have to be careful. And that's why, as a financial advisor, we talk about a well diversified portfolio.
Yeah.
Your best defense is a well diversified portfolio at the level of risk that you're comfortable with. But I got to tell you, nobody expects a huge crash. Where do you go in 2000? You can't go anywhere. Bonds
Right.
are down, stocks are down.
Yeah.
Where do you go? What do you do? If you're, depending on your age, if you're 5 years out of retirement, I'm going to say once you hit that 5 years, if that had been 2006, that means you've got to be extremely careful. That means a lot of that money should have been in cash. If this is 2007 and you've
Mhm.
got less than 5 years, a lot of that money should have been in cash. And I don't know if I told you the story about the gentleman that said, my brother's got X amount of millions, so I want to get that. Well, how much do you need? Well, I need about this, but my brother's got this, so I want to have the
Mhm.
same amount as he does. Do you need that much money? That's not the point. He's got it. I want it.
I want it
And then the market tanked.
in the tank.
Now what do you do? Because as you know, if the market drops 10%, you got to make 20% because you got to come back 10% of what you had, right? You're only going to come back 10% of what you had there. That's not the whole 10% that you got to make up, right? You got to make another
Right.
10% or so on top of that. So
Mhm.
you got a lot of building to do before you get back to where you were and to make a profit. That's tough on a lot of people. It's very tough.
And I
But we
think
also
when
know
we,
I got to say,
um,
we also know the opposite is true, right?
mhm,
When the market tanks, that's when we get in because that's the way it works. You buy low, and when the market goes up, you profit from that. And then when the
right,
market goes up, you sell
mhm,
so that you've got enough money to buy low.
to
That's
buy
why
low.
rebalancing is so important because the market never goes up in a straight line.
Mm-mm. And
2015, the market returned what, 15%?
mhm, mhm,
So those folks who had their money in the market, they saw that little bump. It wasn't what they needed. They'd lost 30%. Market went up 16. Whoopee,
mhm.
whoopee. But if they could have bought, right? I mean, I lived through it. I mean, they were like, whoopee, it went up. I lost 30. I'm not near where I need to be. And it took them years to get back there. But if
Yes,
they could have bought then, when the market was starting to go up, and then we had that 10 years of relative growth that was during the Obama years. We had
yeah,
10 years of
because we had money flowing. He
stable growth.
created the flow of money, so
There was some
people
flow of
start,
money coming in,
yeah,
yeah.
feeling more
But still, it took
confident.
a while. It wasn't like it came back. It didn't come back at 30% in one day or 1 week,
It did
right?
not. It
Took
did
it a
not.
while. Took it a
Mhm.
while, but all along, people are buying cheap, and they're buying cheap. That's why I say, and I'll let you get your question in here. I always say, um, uh, when we say buy low, we really mean buy low and sell high. If the market keeps going up and you don't make changes, the amount of money that you put in is going to go in smaller and smaller places. If the market keeps going up, you buy less and less. We want to buy more and more. And then when we're about ready to retire, that's when we want that we bought so cheaply to be worth a lot. But we can't,
Mhm.
nobody's got a crystal ball. If I had a crystal ball, Crystal, I wouldn't be here talking to you. Trust me.
Yeah, I know. You'd be off somewhere on a yacht with your cigars.
I would be. Trust me. Trust
Maybe
me.
on your
Trust me.
island somewhere.
Maybe somewhere. I'd be somewhere.
I know, I know.
And I'm sure you wouldn't be here talking to me either. I'm sure you'd be doing something else. You had a crystal ball. So,
But
yeah, what do you do in the market chat? When the market tanks, get a well-diversified portfolio based on your level of risk and understand that when the market goes up, and it's been doing that for a while, that's a good time for you to sell and wait so that you can get in when the market tanks. And if you can't do that, and most of us can't, most of us just don't
mhm,
have the stomachs. We can't do that. We just can't.
mhm,
If you can't do that, then a well diversified portfolio with the right risk tolerance is for you. That's your best defense. And understand, yeah, sometimes not even that works.
exactly. And if we look at right now, we were just kind of talking about that. We really should be speaking with our professionals that are managing our portfolios and as well as our retirement plan, because real estate is at the highest of the highest of the highest. And we know that real estate is very cyclical, and we know that it's got to reach a ceiling. I saw a meme on Facebook, and it had a for sale sign, and it had an outhouse on the side of the road, and it was sold for $1 million, and that represents what the real estate market looks like in our country. In our
Yeah.
state. It actually,
Yes.
even across the country, Texas's real estate has gone up drastically. A lot of the places in the Midwest where people were relocating to drove the prices up because that's what's happening. They're coming from a high end. They got a lot of money. They can spend a lot more money on a house, but that drives the property prices up from the locals that don't have that. So that's driving their inflation up. So we just have to think about it. What gasoline is $5 and something, some crazy amount. I was shocked. I
What?
went to the, uh, yeah, $5 for gasoline right now for gas. for yeah, I think somewhere I saw it for 5. There are some places it's actually 6 or 7, depending on
Oh my goodness.
how close they are to the freeway.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
I went into Target the other day to buy, toilet paper, and it was $21 for 15 rolls. I was like,
Oh my
"Whoa, wait!"
goodness.
So,
Yeah.
so prices are ridiculous. Someone said that um, they during the holidays they were making gumbo, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna have to have gumbo without crab because it's like $75 a pound."
There you go.
So we have to recognize these are some signs, right?
We do. We
Because
also have to recognize that um, I think we have to recognize that trends don't last forever. So
yeah.
if you're in a situation and you see that the market is going up, that is, you see prices for housing is going up and cars is going up and there's all going up, 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 and it's going up quick and people are making money. You see that
Hmm.
situation where people are making money, this is a
Hmm.
good time for you to get out.
Yeah.
Because if you let it roll, you're gonna get smacked. That's just the way it
Mm.
is. I wish I could tell you different, you know. And there are those environment investment vehicles rather that don't lose money, quote unquote. They don't lose money. That is, they don't go below zero. Let's say they don't go below zero. And some of
Okay.
those are attractive to folks because they don't go below zero. But I will tell you this, most of us as Americans don't have enough money to trust those only. We need to take the
Mhm.
risk. We need to take the risk because we didn't start early enough and we didn't put enough in, right? I saw this
Mhm.
lady say, saw an ad say, why would you put your money into a 401k when it could be, you know, smacked around by the market? If you have $250,000, come over here. Look, $250,000. I don't have $250,000. Who's got that kind of money? How much do you need to save in order to get $250,000?
Mm. A
And where
lot.
are you going to
Right.
put it? Right? How are
Right.
you going to do that? Right? If you go out to the bank, if you go to the bank, you get FDIC insurance. You can put $250,000 in the bank. It's not going to go anywhere. You don't get any increase. That's it. Boom. Now you take it out of the bank and give it to this lady?
Yeah.
I'm, I don't know. Maybe. I have friends who did exactly that, and they don't deal with the market. They say I can't handle it. I don't have the experience. I saved up my money. I gave it to somebody like this, and they're managing, and I get a small return, and I'm okay with that.
Mm.
Okay. Most Americans don't have the goals that will allow them to do that. This friend of mine happens to be a single male with no kids. You see, not everybody has that life. You know,
Right.
doesn't
Or
spend
live
money.
a very minuscule what do they call
Yeah,
it? A
austere. I
life,
mean, he's
yeah, a steer life that's minimalist
yeah,
life.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
right.
doesn't go
They
on vacation. He doesn't eat out. He doesn't do anything. He just
right.
hangs
Just
out.
and here's
Eats
the
dinner at my house.
exactly, because he's living a minimalist life so he can have that quarter of
Exactly.
$1 million just stocked away. But
And
then
it took him a
you
while to
are,
get it.
yeah, and I'm sure it did. But one day you're gonna leave this planet, and then what? You have nothing actually to say you lived your life for, right? You just worked to save money, to live a very minuscule life. I don't know. It's like a trade off, right? I mean, I think you should have more enjoyment out of life than just making money, stocking it away. To leave to who? Because whoever you leave it to is going to blow it out to like the first 10 minutes they get it. Unless
It could
d-
happen, you know.
during that time you were educating them on the finer things of money and how to spend money wisely, how to save, and we know that's
Yeah,
not the case.
yeah.
So once because these whoever you leave it to if you happen to have left it to someone. If not, it goes to the state, and that's even more disgusting than the fact it's going to a
There you go.
relative that's blowing
There
it.
you go. There you
So
go.
it's interesting, but again, as we talked about at the top of the show, it's about planning. It's about not sticking our head in the sand, assuming that everything is going to work itself out without us being proactive. I think that's so important, and not being afraid to talk to individuals like yourself who are retirement plan experts and say, hey, this is what I like to see my life look like when it comes time for that to happen. But don't plan at you know 5 years or 2 years or 1 year out before it's that time. They need to sit down with you much
Yeah, you
earlier.
want to think about it. Yeah, you're spot on. I think um, you're going to have to take some risks. But I'm glad I said at the beginning of the show, the market will crash. It's going
Yeah,
to
what
happen.
what do they say? What
It,
goes up, gotta come down.
it's got to come down. It will happen. It's going to happen. If you look at the progress of this S&P 500 since the crash in 929, it has always gone up in a jagged line, which means it goes up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, but it
Hmm.
always goes up. So when the market tanks, and it will, then you can say it'll come back up. And that's the time to get in, right? Because we make money on our house when we buy it, not when we sell it. Make sense?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So if you buy that house at 30,000, sell it for 100, you made 70. You buy that house at 50,000, sell it at 100, you only made 50. So we make money when we buy, not when we sell. And that's tough for people to wrap their heads around. And we have to look at inflation as well. That helps with regard to
Hmm.
making that money. So it's tough for people to get their heads around because we think as humans that if something is going one particular way, it's going to keep going that way.
Hmm.
That's just not true. We live in a dynamic economy. So the second question is the market tanked. What do I do? Get in.
Yeah.
Don't wait on the sidelines. Get in.
Yeah.
Well,
Jump
I
in.
don't know
Why
if I
don't?
should get in now because what if that only lasted for a day and I work at a company and we're going to miss that opportunity because I don't control when the fund managers get in and get out. Huh, that's tough. And if I'm not in, if I'm sitting in cash, when do I put my money in that mutual fund now that the market's tanked? I'd say get in now, right? But you're right. How can you get in when the market tanks or get out when the market goes up? It's a little thing that we call market timing. And unless you have a very strong stomach and do this every day, you're going to lose. Every now and then we hear about people, Joey or Aunt Sally or Cindy, who timed the market just right. We don't hear about the number of people who time the market just wrong.
Right. Right.
There's
Right.
lots of them.
Exactly.
There's some
Yeah.
relatives in my family. They timed the market just wrong. They trusted someone. They didn't ask enough questions. And when the market tanked, there was nobody for them to call. What do they do now?
Yeah.
Well, they called me and I said, you should have done this. That doesn't help. Nobody wants to,
And nor do they want to hear what they
nobody
should
wants
have
to
done.
hear what you should have done. That doesn't help. It just doesn't help. Well, I would have told you that doesn't help, right? I'm missing 40, 50, 60K. Where it at? It ain't in, I should have done.
And why didn't they call you before they made that move?
Exactly. Exactly.
Once they got over the pain and maybe recouped a little bit, you should say, and so what's going to happen next time, boys and girls? You're going to call me before we make those investments. But yeah,
You're
very,
right,
very
because
true.
they know, you're making an excellent point there because just because we get burned doesn't mean that we know what happened, right?
Right.
And like we were talking about before, we have a dynamic economy. There's no way that President Trump could have foreseen COVID. I mean, you just can't do that. It
No,
happened. I mean,
it
yeah, right.
it
There's
just
no
happened.
way Mr. Biden could have foreseen that the Republicans would do nothing to help him. It's just no, well, you might be able to see that. But I mean, there's stuff that happens that you're not going to have control over. The best thing we can do is learn what happened and then have that philosophy that's worked through time, and that is buy low and sell high. It ain't rocket science, but it can be tough, and you got to be ready to do that.
Right, exactly. Because that's always it almost reflects back to the to our conversation of our don't be that guy for last week, right? The lady that gave up her whole entire portfolio to someone that wasn't qualified or to invest in their project, and then that person died, and then
Yeah,
now you're still alive and your life has changed drastically and you need that money, and it wasn't a lot of money in the first place when in the scheme of things, but however it was some money, and that person's not in a position to actually go back to work, so that even hurts more. I mean, it's one thing when you have to go back to work, but you can go back to work, but if you
right.
can't go back to work, now
Yeah,
what? Right? That's
yeah,
scary as all heck, man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
I gotta say, from right here, we said, what do you do? What happens if the market crashes? We got to ask that. Well,
right.
depending on what your risk tolerance is, you've got to know what it is, and you have to understand your philosophy of investing. There's a lot of fairly good investors who say, get a philosophy and stick to it. I think
Mhm.
that's important. What is that philosophy? If it
Yeah.
works and you have some degree of that philosophy working for you, write it down, get that, and follow that.
Right.
Right? You
And
can't
I
jump stream in the middle of your
right.
of
And
your
I think
your
watching, other people or looking at, if you take a Warren Buffett, like, how many times has he been involved in a crash? I mean, he's pretty old, right?
yeah.
But
He's holding me.
he older than you. He older than me. He older than
Yeah.
a lot of people. But I'm sure he has a very specific plan and philosophy, as you say, in how he invests his money, because he obviously invests for long term, long longevity. I'm sure his risk tolerance would definitely be different than say the risk tolerance
Me
uh,
or you.
of Zuck or me, right? Exactly. But
Yeah.
he has a tolerance that says, okay, I'm looking long term,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're
So
absolutely right. There's a saying, I won't say who it is, but the suggestion was find a philosophy that has a reasonable opportunity to succeed, and stick with it, and don't worry about it. Stick with it and don't worry about it.
yeah.
I think that's where people get nervous because you've got your philosophy that says, okay, as the market goes up, I'm going to ride that puppy. And when the market, and as I'm riding, all of a sudden the market crash. What are you going to do? I'm going to wait till it goes up and I'm going to ride it again.
Mhm.
Okay. How's that working for you? I feel good. I got nothing to say to you then. You feel good? Okay. You
That's their
got the
philosophy.
philosophy, and that's what, if it works for you and
Yeah.
you can handle it, okay. If you can't handle it, if you say to me, I don't know what to do, my philosophy didn't work, well, now we have something to talk about, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
I'd like to bring into the equation the don't be that guy since it's 151. So who's the guy that you know who I'm going to say? Don't be that guy. The person that just willy-nilly puts the money in there and doesn't know what's up, doesn't take time to talk to their advisor about how they feel about the market, what they're going to do, what when the market tanks, because it will, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen a few times in your life. Let's just put it that
Mhm.
way. And there's a very good chance it's going to happen really bad in your life. So what's it going to do? That's the way the market is. It's just it. It's just the way it is. We cannot stop that. Anybody that tells you that they can stop that, run. Anybody that tells you they know when it's going to happen, run. We can make suppositions, but we just can't get there. We live in a dynamic economy, in a dynamic world. There is no tool that says, well, I know how to handle it and I know what to do about it. It
Right.
doesn't exist. One guy, don't listen to those other guys. Listen to this guy.
This is that guy right there.
Yeah. But so you gotta get in there and ask those questions and see how you're going to let that market affect you because that's the real deal right there. And some
Hmm.
of us are too aggressive for what we want, but some of us don't have a choice. And if you don't have a choice, then understand that's the risk you're taking. Get that well diversified portfolio with the right mix of stocks and bonds for you, rebalance, reevaluate. And if you lose the money, if you're done and your philosophy doesn't say, yay, I'm buying cheap, if your philosophy doesn't say that, if your philosophy says, I don't have, I can't buy cheap. I got nothing to buy cheap with. I can't
Right.
do that. That was all I had. And now I've got nothing. What am I supposed to do now? Well, I'm going to tell you that day's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So your job now is to figure out how are you going to handle that when it happens? Because I can't stop it. I can't stop it from happening. I can't stop COVID. I can't stop what do you call those deficiencies in transportation? I can't stop that. I can't do it.
Hmm.
I can't stop a war coming. I can't do that. I
Yeah,
just
it's
can't.
just. I mean, there's certain um, disasters that take place that even we have no control over. Right. I
None.
mean, there is someone controlling the puppet string, but when
Right.
we find out that they're pulling the puppet string, it's too late for us to do anything about it. And then there are other people that are helping perpetuate the pulling of the puppet strings because they're going to benefit from it. So even though they know it may be wrong and a lot of people are going to get hurt by it, it's we're living in a very interesting world right now, Javon, where it's almost like I'm gonna get mine. If y'all get y'all, you so be it. But yeah, we ain't. There is no announcements going on, warnings that say, "Hey, we in a dog eat world, and this is the whoever the strong, what is it, the fittest or whatever that the survival of the fittest." They're not
Understand.
sending you no notifications, so that
Right.
means
Yeah.
you have to be more proactive. Not
That's the
assuming
word.
proactive that the government or anyone is always looking out for you because some cases
They're
they're not
not.
looking out for you.
They're not looking out for you. And it's
Hmm.
not like they're trying to hurt you. I think in so many situations is sometimes they are. That's another show.
I like that rolling of the eyeball.
Sometimes they are. That's a different show. That's a different show.
Right.
But that's just you're right. That is the way the world is in many situations. There's a lot of people who don't even know you, who really just don't care about you, and they are doing what they got to do. And we take a look at the kinds of returns that people got in 2007 and 2006, where many of us, even in the financial services industry, were like, "What is that? We didn't even know you could do that. Really? Yeah. Okay. So, fortunately, that's not what we have going on now. But we do have a situation where the market has finally been tops and turvy, and people are going, now what do we do? Okay, here we're getting to it.
Hmm.
How's it affecting your gut? It's hurting my gut. Then you don't have the right risk tolerance. If it's hurting your gut now, you don't have the risk tolerance. Then you need to become a little bit more conservative. If it's not hurting
Hmm.
your gut now, let it roll, baby. Do what you got to do. Look at the opportunity that is in front of you. That's what I would say is
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna crash. And when we get to what do we do now that it has crashed, my broker dealer isn't gonna like this, but I'm gonna say get in. Get in.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Why you can, right? You know,
Yeah,
jump in
this
there
is your chance.
while it's affordable, um,
Yeah.
and just
I
make
have a friend of
sure.
mine who I have a friend who bought a house in
Mhm.
2007 at the top of the housing thing.
Mm.
I even you're not gonna believe this, Crystal. I even know financial advisors who bought houses at the top in 2007, and their agent said to them, "We're not creating any more land, so we don't even know if this is the top. So it's only got to go up." And I'm looking at these folks going, "Yeah, but you can't afford that." And it took them years in order to get out from being underwater. What were they supposed to do? Wait till the prices came down? Yeah.
But it didn't. I mean, once it gets up that high, it's only so much it's gonna come down. I know I have friends during that time. It's like I'm a very practical person, right? And so, um, at the time when it was so, there were some other indicators as well. It wasn't just the real estate market. There was some other indicators that were going on. But you're right, everybody was jumping in, and it was even more lucrative is that they were buying house interest or getting interest only loans. um and at some point there was going to be some balloon payment on the other side of it. And so my question was, but you're working for someone. At best, you're going to get a cost of living raise of no more than 3%. A very generous employer may give you 4%. There, that's a very generous employer. Most is 3.5, right? So how in 5 years you are going to be able to afford this payment when it comes due? What are you going to do? I mean, entrepreneurial, if you have your own deal, you can control how much money you make. You'll be working your bottom to death, but you can kind of control. You just got to get in there and the right opportunity be there at the right time. There's a whole lot of dominoes, a lot of things that's got to be expected. But if you're working for someone, a 9 to 5, your opportunities are very very limited, and for you to jump in to buy a mortgage and to get an interest only loan, and they're telling you no problem, you can refi. But with what? I don't have an. It's gonna look just like this.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's so much wrapped up in what you said there, and we're not even professionals and we're doing that.
but
Not in
this is not even from a professional standpoint. This is just from a consumer sitting on the outside, or a person, a regular everybody going. But that doesn't make sense to me.
I know, right? And that's the deal, right? Well, he knows what he's doing. He said this stuff, and I said, "Really? You can do that?" And he came up with something, or she came up with something, and yeah, so here we are. And look at Terry over there. Someone said they could do X, Y, Z, and they did, and now look, they're there. And there's that emotional thing about getting your own home and owning your piece of land, and I get it, but you are spot on. If it sounds too good to be true, yeah,
It's good to be true.
you need it might not be true. You gotta get some help. You gotta get a couple of people in there that can look at it and say, "Hey," I remember the first house I bought. Um, I took advantage of a government program to buy the home. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
one of those liberal people that takes advantage of government programs. And I thought, "Are you sure you can do that?" Yeah, we can do that. Really? And you know what? I was fortunate. They did it. We did it. Next thing you know,
Uh-huh.
we had a house. We had a
Right.
pile of dirt first, but we had a house, our own
Okay.
house. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Not everything works out that way, though,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
My friend who bought her house at the top of the market because she believes someone who's a professional that said, "Hey, we're not creating any more land." Right? Everyone who tells you wonderful things doesn't have your best interest at heart.
Mhm.
There are salesmen out there and they need to make money. So when that salesman says to you, "Hey, this is the deal. You can do it like this." You have to be careful. You just do. I have friends of mine that were salesmen in the mortgage industry. They understood the letter of the law, but they didn't understand the philosophy, and a lot of people got hurt. So
Hmm.
you really have to talk to someone. I think that's one of the things that younger people have over us that are a bit younger is that they, in the studies I've seen, they really need to connect with who it is they're dealing business with. And I would say that's what you want to do. Aside from getting the right philosophy, have a connection with the person that you're working with. I don't really like this online thing because you don't really have a good connection with those folks.
Yeah, it's all.
Have
It's
a
all
connection.
have a human connection, because online you're not going to be able to call that person that you interacted with back, because
Yeah,
they may not still be there. But if you can physically go get the person, and that was something that was, you know, that took place in that 2009 crash, was so many people had, the regulations were loosened all up, and folks were running out there willy nilly without the credentials, without the knowledge and the experience. My sister is in the mortgage industry. Well, she was in the mortgage industry and real estate. She's a real estate broker, and even when people were coming to her saying, I want to put, I want to work under your license. Nope, nope. After she asked them questions and realized that they didn't have the experience to go along with their newly found license. She's like,
yeah,
it's already bad enough on my, whatever's going to happen, but I can't take the fall. And so a lot of it is, so again, doing your due diligence with the individual that you're going to use as your advisor is highly recommended, because you know, you want to know who else they've done business with. You want to know some history, especially when it comes to your money. You just don't want to give your money to any old Joe below that says that they can put you in this beautiful home that you really can't afford. And how could you miss out on this opportunity? You may not ever get another opportunity like that.
right. Or it's going to give you a safe investment,
A
that
safe
is only going to
investment.
go up. And it's only going to go up. You're not going to lose money. You can't lose money. I'm telling you, you can't lose money. Bullshit. Those people are lying to you. You can always lose money.
Always
You can
lose
always
money.
lose money
People do it every single day.
every day. Every
Right.
day.
And if you can't afford to lose money,
Then
then
don't play that game.
you
You need a different game.
you need a different game. If
You
you
do.
can't if you
And
can't
that's
afford.
okay. I think a lot of people, and we probably need to let you go now, but I think a lot of people just don't realize there's a lot of ways to skin a horse, right? Horse?
Hmm.
Cow?
Yes, cow,
One of
whatever
those
it is.
animals. A lot of ways to skin this. There's a lot of ways to skin that puppy. Yeah. And just because you can't do it this way doesn't mean you can't do it that way. And if that way feels a little bit better to you, you may want to take a look at that. I have a friend who's in the medical profession. She says you need to get 4 or 5 different answers, or 4 or 5 different. What do you call those?
Right.
Uh,
Opinions and
opinions. Yes.
recommendations before you, and the same
Yeah.
thing. And why that's so important, Javon, is because most people do not understand money.
They
They don't
don't.
understand money and how to utilize it.
Yeah.
It
I'll go even one
right.
step further. I'll even suggest that, and the study was done back in the day. I don't have it currently, but if you put 10 advisors in a room with the same
Mhm.
program and the same parameters, you should come up with at least 10 to 11 different ways to accomplish your goal. So even if the person that you're dealing with is on it and knows what's up, if they can't communicate with you, if you can't understand them, go someplace else. Do
Yeah.
something different. That's one of the reasons why I like to see different advisors out here, because not everyone communicates with people. Some people look at me and go, "Yo, Jay, I don't want you near me or my money. And please, please, please don't get near my money." And then some people look at me and say, "Thank God you're here." And that's
Mhm.
fine. That's totally cool. It's
Mhm.
totally cool. I'm not built for everybody. I'm a
Right.
contrarian and I don't have a lot of the lives and I can't talk to those people, some people, right?
Right. Yeah, because you
But
gotta have a
there's some people
connection.
I'm very good with. There's some people
Right.
I'm very good with, I'd like to say.
Right. So yes,
Gotcha.
you're absolutely right. You got to find the person. Even when I recommend people for people to do their taxes, and I usually give a recommendation of three individuals, and I always say, don't just pick the first one on the list. Go through each one of them and sit down and have a conversation and see if you guys have the same philosophies on how to manage your money and how to pay your taxes and understand what your future goals are. So find that person that you connect to and not because you don't want to just keep jumping from person to person. I hear that somebody saying, "Oh, I got to get out. This tax person is not doing what I want." Okay, but do you even know what you want, right? So, but sit down and have a conversation. So yeah, you get second opinions, third opinion. And when you're talking about spending large sums of money for something that could be catastrophic to your future, or it could be brilliant for your future, but you gotta make sure that the person that's selling you that whatever that is they're selling you really understands what your current situation is, what your future situation will be, and what your family situations would be, because all of that should be taken into should be factors when you're making money decisions and
You're so
retirement
right.
decisions.
No, you're so right. I was just thinking about what you're saying there. I was thinking, my dry cleaner lady is the bomb. And she tells me all the time, you're wrong. No, we're not gonna put that hem on your pants. It does not make you look taller. She tells me
Right,
that kind of
exactly.
stuff all the time. And,
Right, exactly.
sometimes you need that in your life,
You
but I
sometimes,
love my dry cleaner lady. She's awesome, but she smacks me around a little bit. And I
yeah,
think,
sometimes,
I because you don't know. I mean, but I have that connection with her, right? I need it
yes,
on Saturday. I can get it to you on Monday. I need it on Saturday. All right, come here Friday night and pick it up. I have that relationship with her, right?
right.
I think that's so important. You have to have that relationship. That poor lady that we met last time, she had a relationship with that guy.
But but a relationship based upon one aspect of how he interjected into her life, and
Yeah,
that one aspect
he
was
just
doing their taxes. And I always
he
tell my
stole
clients this:
he stole
if
that money. He
he
ripped
stole
that
the
woman
money,
off.
he wished that
He stole
because
that money. I don't want to talk ill of the dead. He stole that money. He ripped
right.
that poor child
And
off.
you know why he did? Because she came to him and she left her whole tax situation in his hands. And
Oh,
he
she was
realized how gullible she possibly was. You never know where people are coming from. Because I always tell clients when it comes time to getting lines of credit and things like that, and they want capital to take their business to the next level, and then they go and they present their tax returns and they come back and they say that I don't qualify. I said, so when you have been going to get your taxes done, were you telling them, I don't want to pay taxes? Is that the first words out of your mouth when you talk to your tax person? I don't want to pay taxes. And he
yeah,
went, okay, no problem. We will make
yeah,
sure it does show that you didn't pay taxes, right? So
right.
now when you go to the banker's like, you didn't make no money.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. You don't, but I did make, but your taxes do not say you made any money. Why? Because you went. I said, so you really need to sit down with that person and say, look, this is where I want to go in 5 years. I want to grow my business. I want to be able to buy a home. I want employees. In the next 5, 10 years, I want 5 to 10 employees. So now we need to do my taxes based upon my future goals, my short
Mm,
term goals.
there you
Now when
go.
you go to the tax man, they're like, and to the loan guy, he's like, "Oh, you looking pretty good. Yeah, you've had to pay some taxes, right? But that's part of the game, right? That's part
There
of
you
it.
go.
So, but you go tell them you don't want to pay any taxes. That's exactly what he's gonna do. And he loves that kind of. So that particular guy obviously went, "Oh," and how many? He did that to not just her. He did that to multiple people. So
Oh,
this
good.
taxpayer knew. I mean, this tax preparer knew, and he wasn't a CPA. He was a tax
Tax
preparer.
preparing. Yeah. He
And
stole that
he
woman's money. I'm just
he
gonna
stole
say it
that
right
money.
now. That poor child, he stole her. He
Oh,
saw her
he
coming
stole her
and he
money.
stole that money. That's
And then he
just
had the audacity, Jevon,
fascinating.
to die.
Yeah, you are something else. You are something else. But it's true. And then he left, stole her money and left.
And left.
Hmm.
And there was no repercussions. She can't get it through probate. She can't do
No,
nothing. It's just gone.
yes, yeah,
So
gone.
the moral of that story, audience, is plan, be proactive,
Proactive.
and make sure you interview and you have complete trust in the people that
Yeah.
you are giving the opportunity to manage your monies.
Yes. Yes. That's a good
Yeah.
way to stop that. That's a good way to put that. Yeah. Okay. Well, Crystal, it has been lovely as usual speaking with you. I've held you for a little while longer than I was going to, but I
That's
love getting you
cool.
on a roll.
I know it's a good conversation. We had a great conversation today. So,
Indeed.
guys, you guys, we will be back here next Monday with
You know
another.
what? I hate to
What?
interrupt you, Crystal, but I didn't even read your bio.
Oh,
I
okay.
have you don't even know who you are. Hold on just a moment.
Or you.
Well, they know who I am. Who don't know who I am, everybody knows who I am. All right, here we go. Crystal Mitchell, everyone. My friend and colleague Crystal is a business coach and consultant, CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that other radio show,
Mhm.
instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Everyone, please say hello. And right now, see you later. See you next time to Crystal Mitchell. I
All
am
right.
Javon Thomas. Hey, I'm Javon Thomas, retirement plan advisor, and it's been great chatting with all of you, and hope to see you next time. Crystal, take us
Yes.
out.
We had a fantastic conversations on the patio, just rolling off. It was just rolling, wasn't it? But we want you to take away from this again. Make sure you're planning for whatever is going to happen because what goes up must come down. So you have to be prepared to be proactive for an action to take advantage of it or don't take advantage of it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah,
It's your call. So we
it's
want to
your call.
thank you guys for tuning in to Conversations on the Patio with Javon and Crystal, and we will be back next Monday with another amazing conversation. Yeah.
Bye, Crystal. See you later now.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.